Você que está ouvindo esse podcast, o que acha de uma empresa que sempre trabalha para trazer impacto positivo? Assim é o Google. Como? A Duda da Orbi é um exemplo disso. Ela usa a inteligência artificial para ajudar pessoas a recuperarem seus movimentos. É a tecnologia mais útil na vida das pessoas. E tem o Jefferson da Tributei, que usa inteligência artificial para facilitar o dia a dia das empresas. Eles e milhares de empreendedores geraram mais de 188 bilhões com as plataformas do Google. Tem que ser bom para todo mundo.
Welcome back, everyone, to another edition of Dining at Disney. And before we launch into the show, we've got some travel deals for you. Kristen, why don't you tell them about their latest travel deal?
Well, if you are looking to visit Walt Disney World, you can take advantage of the Stay, Play, and Disney Dining promo card. You have to purchase a minimum of a 5-night, 4-day vacation package at any of the select Disney World resorts, and you can save up to $150, which means if you stay 10 nights, you get $1,500.
Ooh, I like it.
Again, that's the amount for the deluxe resort. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, it's not every day you get money back from Disney, is it?
Not every day you get money to spend on food at Disney. No.
True that. Anyway, how can people email you to take advantage of this great deal as well as other deals when it comes to traveling to the Disney parks, Universal, or any cruise line imaginable?
You can contact me at themeparksandcruises@gmail.com.
From the Gator Framework Studio in Music City, it's the Dining at Disney podcast.
Another thing about good food, it brings folks together, all walks of life.
You'll discover all the best restaurants and food as you hungrily explore the Disney parks. Let's do this thing! The Dining at Disney podcast.
Welcome to the Dining at Disney podcast. I am Kristen, Disney park enthusiast, foodie, travel expert, and future Orlando homeowner.
Future Orlando. That's good to know. I've got my goals. I've got goals. Aljon Go here, producer, and I'm a lifelong Disney, Marvel, and Star Wars fan. Welcome to the show. If you haven't already, make sure you like and subscribe to the show and ring that bell. Click it because you want to know when new podcast and new video content gets posted every single time we do. So go ahead and do that. Now,
today, we have a very special guest.
We do. It is my co-host, my other co-host.
I thought you were going to let me talk.
Yeah, you can. Go for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
It is your co-host on Skull Rock Podcast, author Dave Bossert.
Hey.
Hey, it's great to be back with you guys.
I know. It's been a minute.
It's been a minute, Dave. It's like we talked yesterday almost.
I know, almost.
But you've been very busy. A lot of people might know this, the fact that you are an award-winning author with a bunch of awesome books. You've got a great website, davidbossert.com, where you have got so much content regarding Disney, almost being a Disney historian yourself, working for the company for, how long did you work for Disney again, Dave?
A little over 32 years.
Yeah, you see, that gives you one of those really cool pins. And a really cool service award. But I mean, it's a long time to be with the company, especially when, you got there right as the Disney Renaissance was taking place.
Yeah, it was you look back now and you go, wow, it was unbelievable. What a time. But in the midst of it, you were sort of like, are we still going to have jobs? Are they actually going to still make animated movies? Because there was talk, in the mid to late 80s about shutting down Walt Disney Animation Studios. When Michael Eisner and Frank Wells and Jeffrey Katzenberg came in, they didn't really know much about animation at the time. And, if it wasn't for Roy E. Disney, who was vice chairman of the company and the guy who really saved the company and brought in that new management team, they very well may have shut down animation.
Wow.
It's crazy to think that they were going to parcel off and basically sell off different portions of the Disney company and basically dissect it for its parts and It's hard to imagine considering what the company has become today.
Yes, because instead of getting rid of things, they acquire things.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's really amazing. And something, Walt Disney Animation Studios, really thrived. And there was that, now we call it the renaissance of Disney animation, through the late 80s and into the 90s and early 2000s. And I think, when I look back, certainly animation is a cornerstone of the company. And, Roy E. Disney said that if animation was well, the company would be doing well, and when you look at animation at Disney over the decades since the company started 100 years ago, it's had its ups and downs, but it's always survived. And it's always put out stellar movies. And you know what? Yeah, every so often you're gonna get, a blooper, something that doesn't do that well or doesn't resonate with the audiences. But even so, they can continue to turn out great films.
100%. Now, before we get into the food talk, because we're going to talk about some of your favorite Disney restaurants and such, and your latest stuff, Kristen, you had something you wanted to add?
I was going to say, if that had happened, some of my favorite Disney movies never would have been made.
That's true.
Can you imagine?
I know.
And also, when you think about the history of the company, if Walt didn't lose Oswald the Lucky Rabbit, would he have ever created Mickey Mouse?
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, a lot of crazy things, a lot of twists and turns over a century of this company's history.
It's mind-blowing when you think about it, because as they say, necessity is the mother of invention. And Walt Disney was at the crux of all of that, from losing Oswald, that you have in your book, Oswald the Lucky Rabbit, that you can check out at davidbossert.com. I got to make sure to put that little
ka-ching. I'll just go ka-ching every time you mention one of my books.
I need the cash register to do that. But between that and, of course, teaming up with iWorks and the multi-plane camera and all the technology that he was behind all those great Disney films to give it that scope and that depth of field. And it's just really amazing how the company has grown and still continues to push boundaries in terms of technology and filmmaking.
It really does, and I think, when people look at some of the things that have gone on over the last couple of years, it was a rocky road. Disney in particular got hit very, very hard with the pandemic because it affected so many of their business units. But you know what? They survived, and oftentimes when there's so much uncertainty and choppiness, there's also great opportunities. And I really think that there's a lot of great days ahead coming off of this pandemic. I think the company's going to be stronger and better and bigger and doing great things.
Speaking of doing great things, Dave, you did a great thing recently. You just released your 3D National Parks book, which, we love here because we love the parks, not just the Disney parks, but the national parks.
Yeah.
Kind of as a follow-up to your, 3D Disneyland book. And you've got a bunch of other stuff in the works. You want to kind of give those a plug real quick at the top of the show?
Sure. I just several weeks ago really finished off the text for The House of the Future, Walt Disney, MIT, and Monsanto's Vision of Tomorrow. And so that's being designed and laid out as we speak, and that's coming out later this year. And also, believe it or not, I have another book from Disney Editions that's coming out in September, Tim Burton's The Nightmare Before Christmas visual companion, which, by the way, I got to tell your audience, I wrote that book 5 years ago for the 25th anniversary. And, it got delayed because Tim at the time was doing the Dumbo movie and they had some Dumbo books, and he has his own designer that he wants to have a hand in designing his books. So we were delayed a little bit because they were doing some Dumbo books. And then scheduling wise, it kind of got pushed along, and then the pandemic hit, and then they furloughed like most of the publishing group at Disney in 2020 and early, for like 8-9 months. And then people started working at home. And so then they looked at it and said, well, let's just wait until the 30th anniversary. So, and I don't blame them. I mean, I certainly would have liked for it to come out for the 25th, but you know what? It's going to come out this year for the 30th anniversary, and it's going to be a big celebration of Tim's movie. And I'm super proud of that book, and I'm glad it's going to finally see the light of day.
I am too.
I am very excited about that because that is one of my favorite movies. So
and you know something, I love that film myself. I did a little work on it when it was being made back in 92, 93. And, having the opportunity to sort of write a behind the scenes of how that whole movie came together, and go and interview a lot of the filmmakers. I talked to most of the animators and a lot of the production people, the folks making the puppets and all of that. So there's a lot of really great stories behind the scenes. I spent some time with Danny Elfman and with Tim and with Henry Selick, who directed. And it's I think it's one of these books that just is going to reveal a lot more information about that movie and a lot more of the behind the scenes.
That's very
awesome.
cool.
Can't wait. Well, I guess it's time for some food talk.
Yes.
So, Dave, why don't you tell us about your last visit over there to Napa Rose? Because it's one of our favorite restaurants there at the Disneyland Resort.
Yeah, I love going to the Napa Rose. I mean, the executive chef there, Andrew Sutton, is just fantastic, and he's like the executive chef for the whole resort, but his like home base is Napa Rose, and I love that atmosphere. There's this craftsman style quality to the interior. They have a great wine list. And I generally, when I go there, by the way, I have the vintner's menu. So, you pick from, 3 or 4 categories, and it's all paired with the wines.
That's right.
And
that's the way to do it.
yeah, I absolutely love that. And something, it's funny. I've often had people, over the years say, hey, can you get me into Club 33? And I've always tried to steer them over to the Napa Rose and go, I think you're gonna love the Napa Rose much better, because it's difficult to get anybody into Club 33. I have a tough time getting in there sometimes, but I would say that the Napa Rose is a great experience, not only from a culinary standpoint, because the food is just off the charts as far as I'm concerned, but also the atmosphere. And one of the reasons why I really like the Napa Rose is just because it's kind of an open and it's airy. It's it feels nice. It feels comfortable. Whereas with Club 33, it's lower ceilings and it's a little smaller dining rooms. It's not as open for me. But I will say that since they had done the whole remodel of Club 33 and added that new section with the bar and everything, it's spectacular up there as well. I mean, I'm not complaining. I'm just telling people, you can get a great experience at the Napa Rose as well,
Oh, yeah. And they know their wines there too. So if you like wine, I mean,
Dave does.
So do we. I mean, it's the perfect place to go. Incredible food, and they've got a fantastic wine list, and everybody who works there knows what pairs well with what. And so
they're all just really nice people. I mean, it's just a very knowledgeable staff. It's really just top to bottom. It's such a great experience. And it's funny, on the wine list, when you go through the wine list, like you'll see Silverado, which is Ron Miller and Diane Disney Miller's winery. They have the Silverado on there. I believe the last time I was there, there was wines from
Kurt Russell, did he have his?
Thank you, Kurt
Yeah.
Russell from the Kurt Russell Winery, and I think
I think
there was
Skywalker's up there too.
yeah, and I think also Fess Parker.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So, in fact, I have a bottle of Fess Parker in my pantry with a little coonskin cap on it.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah. They make these little caps that go on top of the bottle.
That is so cool. Of course, I mean, you would expect that, but that's really cool. And we have not. Kristen and I have been lucky enough, Dave, to go to Club 33 before the remodel several times.
Yeah.
And hopefully when we make it back up there, we'll all have to go to Club 33.
Yeah, I know. I absolutely, since the remodel, it's absolutely spectacular, and by the way, I'm not knocking it at all. There's a mystique to it, and I get that, but there's also, if you can't get in there, there's so many other great places, just below just below Club 33, you've got the Blue Bayou restaurant at Pirates of the Caribbean. And I've really enjoyed going in there from time to time. In fact, I can tell you guys, many, many years ago, I took my group, my special projects group. I think there was like 18 of us. And we sort of did like a team building day, which was an excuse for me to get a bus to take the whole staff down to Disneyland. And we had lunch in the Blue Bayou. And it was so funny because, I talked to the manager of the Blue Bayou and I told him I was going to bring this whole group down and I wanted to have one big table and da 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 da. And it was totally like he was so great and, put everything together and did a sort of a short menu that people could pick from a couple of, a starter and a couple of appetizers and stuff. And they just put the whole thing together. It was really fantastic.
Well, it was, Mardi Gras. So that's a perfect place to go for all of that stuff over there in New Orleans Square.
I was in New Orleans Square. I mean,
it's Square, folks.
Yeah, but actually, one of my favorite sandwiches really is the Monte Cristo. I think that's like their signature, like one of their signature entrees is the Monte Cristo sandwich.
It is a must-have for me every time we go.
Yeah,
it
really is
a lot of food.
It is a lot of food.
It is.
Yeah, you got to be prepared. Or you could split it with someone.
Well, that's what Taylor and I did the one time. We split that and we split an order of fries.
There you go.
And we didn't even finish everything between the two of us.
I do like the fact that over the years, Blue Bayou still remains that kind of charm. Still has that charm that has always really been there, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and it's also on a hot day at Disneyland. It's a very cool space. From an air conditioning standpoint, it's very, it's sort of really cool in there.
When you're at Disneyland, Dave, sorry, my throat is killing me.
Well, there's not many restaurants that you can sit and dine and be a part of an attraction in a sense.
Yeah, I mean, it's an immersive space.
Yeah.
But look, I have to say, I think it was last year sometime I met a group of people down there, and we went and had corn dogs at the Little Red Wagon.
Yeah,
and those are I mean, just incredible. It's right off the hub, right next to the Carnation restaurant. In fact, you can get your corn dogs from the truck and then go sit up at one of the tables on the patio outside the Carnation restaurant. And I have to tell you, they're probably the best hand-dipped corn dogs I've ever had. They really are good.
It's high praise. I love the corn dogs at Disneyland Resort. I absolutely
well, you always get the fried cheese over at
Corn Dog
Castle.
Which
jeez,
I love.
You better go see a cardiologist, my friend.
I know. It's a guilty pleasure, but it's like a good thing I don't go there often because That'd be insane. But I mean, that's one of the best parts about being at the park, and especially at Disneyland, because their cart food is so good as opposed to
Yeah.
Disney World,
Well,
because
quick
quick
service,
service and
I
the
think
carts.
overall is better at Disneyland because there's a wider variety of things.
Yeah.
Whereas I think you see wider variety in like Epcot and Animal Kingdom, but other than that, it's a lot of your typical like quick service kind of food, like Magic Kingdom and
Mhm.
Hollywood Studios. I feel that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So at Disneyland, you go to the parks, you've got your hand in, some attractions that have been there, et cetera, et cetera. But what's the Dave Bossert go-to snack and the go-to drink there when you're just hanging out at the park, maybe with the family or with a group of friends?
You can pick one thing from each park.
Sure, why not?
It's funny. If I go over to California Adventure, which I have to tell you a funny story. When they first built California Adventure, there was a lot of controversy because there wasn't a lot of stuff in there, right? And
Yeah.
so they had this issue of huge crowds at Disneyland and then not a lot of people over at California Adventure, especially when the sun was going down. People would leave California. The people that were there would leave California Adventure and go into Disneyland because you had the fireworks and you had Fantasmic and there was a lot more stuff going on, right? So they've fixed that by putting in World of Color, which I was involved with, and other things. But I spent a lot of time there when it was like the original small park with not a lot of stuff to do, because anytime it was overcast or it would be like a light drizzle, I would take Nancy and the girls. I'd say, hey, let's go down to Disneyland, and we'd go into California Adventure because it wouldn't be crowded.
Yeah.
We'd walk on to, Soarin', and we'd, do a couple of things and then have lunch. And we'd either eat at the, there was the winery restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
I forget the name of it, but we'd either go there, or if it wasn't, too terrible, we'd go over to the I forget the name of the hot dog place there.
Award Wieners.
Award Wieners.
Yes, Award Wieners. Yes, Award Wieners has great hot dogs, So, I mean, my go-to if I'm in California Adventure is Award Wieners and getting a hot dog. But I've also eaten at Carthay Circle and 1908, which is the sort of satellite Club 33 in there.
Mm-hmm.
And
We have not been in that.
No, we haven't been to that one, but we love Circle,
Yeah.
certainly.
Yeah, Carthay is nice. And it's in Disneyland, my go-to really has to be the corn dogs.
Yeah.
Because the corn dog truck is just killer.
It's all about the dog for you.
Yeah, they're so fresh. I really like them a lot. I can't think of any, occasionally I get the Rice Krispie treat, the chocolate dipped Rice Krispie treat, on a stick. Something like that.
Well, you're no stranger to amusement parks because you're actually a New Yorker.
Right. Yeah.
So, I mean,
I went to Playland in Rye, New York a number of times, and Coney Island. And of course, if I go to Coney Island, I'm going to the original Nathan's.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nathan's hot dogs, and they have killer fries as well.
They certainly do.
Yeah.
So I love those fries.
Are they the hand cut type?
Yeah, I think they do the hand cut crinkles still, I think.
Crinkle? Oh.
Is it crinkle?
Yeah, they're crinkle cut fries.
Crinkle cut.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a minute since I've been to that airport. It's the closest I can get down there because I haven't been over to actual the actual park itself. But
yeah, I mean, Coney Island's fantastic. But I have to say, I actually, and I've told this to a number of people, I've actually been to I was at Walt Disney World twice before I ever went to Disneyland.
Oh yeah.
So my first visit to Disneyland wasn't until 1980 when I moved out to Los Angeles. But when I was growing up in New York, my parents took us all down to Walt Disney World. I remember being there in 1976, bicentennial year, and you got to remember the park then. It was the Magic Kingdom and a couple of resorts. That's all that was there. So it's really grown since then.
It's come a long way, Dave. So out of curiosity, have you been to Avengers Campus recently?
No,
Not yet. Okay.
I haven't.
I was going to ask you. We're going to talk about Ant-Man on Skull Rock for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
I did see that on in IMAX. It's a spectacle.
it is something else. It is.
Yeah.
something else.
And you know something? It's all about Paul Rudd.
It's
Yeah.
true.
Paul Rudd is so great. He's just got such a great presence.
Yeah, you can't say that they didn't have good casting for Ant-Man because everybody plays such a great role in that film.
Yeah.
It's such a great role. But moving on, from Disneyland, do you have any other Disneyland questions or thoughts?
Well, the thing I was going to mention about the Disneyland Resort is all the restaurants that they have on downtown Disney.
Yeah.
And we've had breakfast a number of times at the La Brea Bakery, which is now being taken out and replaced.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be Earl of Sandwich.
Well, they got Earl of
They're
Sandwich.
putting an Earl of Sandwich there?
Mhm.
Really? I haven't eaten at an Earl of Sandwich. Have you?
We love it.
Do you?
We love it.
You going to tell them about your favorite sandwich there?
Oh, it's Thanksgiving. It's a turkey Thanksgiving sandwich.
Oh, has it got cranberry on it?
Holiday.
The holiday, yes. It's got the turkey, the smoked turkey, and the cranberry sauce in there with
And some stuffing?
stuffing. Yeah, it's.
Oh, man. Do they have that year round or only at the holidays?
I think they have it year round, actually.
Oh, really? They actually opened an Earl of Sandwich not far from my home. I never had a chance to go over to it because it opened and then it closed.
What?
Wow.
Yeah, it was only there for a couple of months, and I kept saying, I want to go over there and get a sandwich. And when I finally decided to go over there, it had been closed down.
I wonder if it was just a victim of the pandemic.
Something I doubt it because I think it closed down before the pandemic.
Oh, is that right?
So I just think it was where it was located. It was a terrible location.
Mm.
I think a place like that needs to have a lot more in the way of foot traffic, and this location they picked was just a bad location.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Kind of like the Red Robin we had over by the mall. That was in a really, really weird place in the parking lot.
Really weird place. Well, anyway, that's cool. I mean, that I love. Well, I don't know what else we could say about the location, Earl of Sandwich.
The Earl of Sandwich. But something, I will say though, I do like the fact that they do change things out periodically. I just hope they never get rid of the red wagon with the corn dogs.
Yeah.
Because I actually think that the line that forms for those corn dogs is unbelievable. And it's amazing how quickly they keep, turning out those hand-dipped corn dogs for people. They must be making $1 bazillion per square foot for that little truck.
I wonder how much those carts make because they absolutely turn so quickly.
Well, that one, and then you have the popcorn as you enter the park. That I think those are two. That I don't think you can change them because I think people would probably riot over that.
Yeah.
Those are like so funny.
The other thing I do enjoy is a soft serve ice cream. And it's funny because like when I go up to Maine every summer and there's these like roadside shacks that have, soft serve. And I have to tell you, soft serve ice cream for me, when I have one, it makes me feel like I'm on vacation.
I love that. And that's the way we feel when we have Dole Whips.
Yeah.
But you're absolutely right. This food brings back so much nostalgia. The corn dogs, the churros, the popcorn, and of course the soft serve, the Dole Whip.
I never do the popcorn at the parks. You know, and I think the reason why I don't do the popcorn at the parks is because I go to the movies every week,
Oh,
you
that's
know,
true.
and I don't have popcorn every week, but periodically I get a bucket of popcorn, and I just like associate popcorn with being at the movies.
Yeah.
And I don't want to walk around the park, you know, digging my hand into a bag for popcorn and having buttery, greasy fingers. You know what I mean? So I just never get the popcorn at the parks.
Well, you mentioned the downtown Disney area. There are so many great eateries in downtown Disney. Other than La Brea, which rest in peace, La Brea. Is there any other places that you like over there?
Yeah, I'm just trying to think. We talked about the little winery restaurant that's in downtown Disney, excuse me, in California Adventure, and the Ward Wieners. Trying to think if I don't think there's really anything else down there that I frequent that much. There's a couple of places I've been into once or twice, and I have most of my memorable dining experiences outside of the Napa Rose or Club 33 are down in Orlando. And, we talked about some of those when I was on the show a couple of years ago. Flying Fish at the Boardwalk Resort is probably my favorite restaurant at the Walt Disney World Resort, because of that potato crusted red snapper dish. That their signature dish there is just killer. And if you haven't experienced that, you should at least do it once, because I just think that that's such a great restaurant. And of course, at the top of the Contemporary, if it's still there, the California Grill.
Still there.
Yeah, which is a really, I think, a terrific restaurant. And if you get a table by the windows, if you're positioned properly, you can actually see the fireworks show.
Yeah.
From up there, which is really killer. And I have such a great memory of that restaurant because I went up there and had dinner with Roy E. Disney.
Ooh, okay.
And as we were finishing dinner, the fireworks were going off.
Oh,
and
wow.
It was just, and any place you went, anytime you went to one of the parks with Roy E., it was like, you had, you were walking around with the platinum card next to you,
Pretty much.
the full on backstage pass guy,
I was gonna say he's the ultimate all access pass. Not that you
That's it.
did already, because you're already there. They've working on the parks and everything. You've got all the credentials to wear around your neck if you needed to. But I mean, to have the man with the last name Disney, pull out his Cobalt card.
Yeah. Hey, I have to say it's there was a lot of great experiences down there, but that's a terrific restaurant. I also like Narcosis, which is over by the Floridian. That's right on the lagoon, and that's a great restaurant.
And they
One of
just
ours.
refurbished it and redid the menu.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I've got to go check that out next time I go down to Orlando, because I know I haven't been down to Orlando. Gosh, it's got to be 4 or 5 years now.
Oh, wow.
It's
Yeah.
time, and maybe, just maybe, when the Nightmare book comes out, you might be doing a little bit of a book tour there at the parks, perhaps. And
Yeah, maybe. Well, we're gonna see. We're gonna see.
that'd be really cool. But
Yeah.
we do love going there over Narcosis. It's one of our favorite places to celebrate our anniversary, actually, along with the Flying Fish. So we have a lot of the same taste for sure.
Well, they have the best dessert at Narcosis.
Go
The
ahead.
almond crusted cheesecake.
Ooh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's so good.
Yeah, and I'm trying to think what else is down there that I've really, I'm a creature of habit. So, when I traveled to Orlando to the resort for business on a regular basis, I mean, sometimes I'd be down there half dozen times a year. I'd always want to stay at the boardwalk, just because I would squeeze in a dinner at the Flying Fish. Even if I ate at the counter, And that's the other thing that I love about some of those restaurants. Like, we were talking about Napa Rose, they have the chef's counter.
Yeah.
And you can go and you're sitting there, you're not sitting across from your partner, you're sitting side by side looking into the kitchen.
Love that.
And then you have the chefs coming over and explaining the dishes to you. And so the Flying Fish has a similar thing where you can sit at the counter looking in at the kitchen. You're not necessarily, talking with the chefs, because that's more of table service to the bar. But you're seeing everything going on, and it's just, it's part of that immersion into the whole culinary world. And that's, just a great experience.
I love open kitchens like that where you can see cooking the food. Yeah.
Yeah.
It just, it's sort of like a big show being put on, and you're benefiting from the show with a great meal that's being dropped down in front of you.
Yeah.
It's like watching an episode of Iron Chef, but there's no competition there.
There you go.
You can feel all the flames. You can feel the flame heat from the kitchen, and you get to see how you literally see how it's made. It's like I usually say, a lot of people, they don't want to know how the sausage is created and how the sausage is made, and you literally see how the sausage is made. So
yeah, but something, I think there's something to be said about that, because those kitchens are super clean, and the people working in them, they know what they're doing.
Oh yeah.
You go into some restaurants, you don't know what's going on behind the doors.
Oh yeah, you definitely take your chances, but
I think often those places give better quality food because they can be seen.
Yeah,
I be such a way that there's less chance of mistakes, or people can't be lazy or being watched.
Yeah, exactly. But I think I think the common thread for me with any of the Disney restaurants at the resorts or on the cruise ships is just the immersion into a space. They're all themed in some way, shape, or form. I love the interior design of the Flying Fish. And I also love the interiors of the yacht and the beach club and some of the little restaurants and bars they've got in there. It's just, part of going out and having food and drink is the environment you're sitting in, the coziness of it and all of that. And that's what I really love about going to a lot of those restaurants around the resorts.
Now, you mentioned Disney Cruise Line, and you've worked on one of the restaurants, right?
Yeah, I actually worked on a show that's in a restaurant.
Yeah.
So the show director, the guy in charge of it, the guy who really came up with the concept is Jerry Reese. We had him on the Skull Rock podcast as a guest not too long ago. But with that particular experience, the idea was, as a guest, you come into this dining room and you get seated, and you have a paper placemat in front of you and some crayons, and you can draw a character. And it doesn't matter whether you're really good or terrible, or you just go do a stick figure. You just draw something within the space that's given you, and the servers collect those before you start your meal. And while you're eating, they're scanning those drawings into computer system, and they're being mapped. Your drawings being mapped onto pre-animated geometry, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Right. And so when you're having your dessert, they do this whole show in the dining room where you've got this beautiful Mickey animation, and he's marching out and he's leading this parade of guest drawings.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really, when you see it, it's a very magical experience, because you as a guest, whether you have any talent or not, you've done some kind of a drawing, and now you're getting the chance to see it, in motion. It's moving, it's animating. And it was, I have to, give kudos to Jerry Reese, because it's just a killer concept. And it was just an honor to be part of the team that helped put that whole thing together on the cruise ship. And again, these are fun things that add to this immersion, that this immersive experience that you have when you go into some of these restaurants, whether it's at a resort or on the cruise ship.
It's awesome. Animator's Palette
Animator's Palette. That was it. Yes.
It's a great restaurant, and a lot of people don't know, but Jerry Reese he's probably the most awarded Imagineer, I guess you can call Imagineer, around, because he's won so many theme park awards over the course of decades. And so that's really cool that you guys teamed up for that. And it's still cool. It's state of the art, and I think he even won an award for Animator's Palette.
Yeah, I do think that there was a Thea Award for that.
Yes.
I would love to see my Mickey head brought to life, because that's the thing I can draw like from memory, and it looks like the character. Whereas like everything else I draw, it's not there. But then again, I've probably drawn Mickey couple hundred times or so.
The two of you
doodle thing. Like
you're gonna have to take a cruise. You're gonna have to go on the cruise ship and experience it.
We'll go on a cruise. We'll take the kiddos with us.
Once the boy is potty trained.
Yes, he's getting there, Dave. We're getting there.
All right.
We're getting
there. All right. Awesome.
What an awesome show, Dave. Thank you so much for being here on the show. We appreciate it. And why don't you give a plug once again for your website and all the books there?
Yeah, something. If you want to check out, everything on my website, it's davidbossert.com. You can also, if you're interested in any of my books, there's links from the book pages on my website to Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Books A Million. You can also go to theoldmillpress.com. They've got a bunch of my books and some other books that are Disney related, if you're interested in that. Again, it's going to be a great year, because the Nightmare Before Christmas book is up on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Books A Million for pre-order. It's releasing September 26th. And then the House of the Future book is releasing in October.
That is exciting stuff. And we'll have all of those links in our show notes.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Thanks for having me back on. I love coming on your show and talking about food at the parks.
Oh, we can't wait. Next time,
well, yes, it's not going to be 2 years.
Exactly. And come back anytime, Dave. You've got a new project coming up, and we'll talk shop a little bit. And maybe next time we'll talk about some more of your attractions that you worked on.
Yeah, no, it'd be a lot of fun. And, by the way, I will mention, I did a book, The Animator's Gallery. Eric Goldberg draws the Disney characters. That book came about because I had brought Eric on to do drawings for a restaurant at Shanghai Disneyland.
Yeah.
And it was kind of in the style of Al Hirschfeld caricatures of the Disney characters that were going to be framed and put on the walls of a restaurant in Shanghai Disneyland, sort of like the Brown Derby down at the Walt Disney Studios Park, or Sardi's, the old Sardi's restaurant, where they had caricatures of the stars up on the walls. But when Eric was done, with these like 150 character drawings from every film, including the Fab Five, but all the features from Snow White up until, I guess, at that time it must have been Big Hero 6, I think.
Wow.
And so, when I looked at this body of work, I was like, oh, we should put all of this in a book. And so I pitched it over to Disney Editions, and they jumped at it. So it's a beautiful book that's available out there.
Well, there you go. Please check it out. An Animator's Gallery. Eric Goldberg draws the Disney characters, and Eric is also just what a wonderful, wonderful gentleman. Eric,
Yes,
met him
absolutely.
at 23 once. He's just a really, really nice guy, and you can't believe he's still doing it after all these years. Still doing it.
I know, it's crazy.
It's absolutely amazing, Dave. Thank you so much for being the mensch that you are. You're just
Hey, it was my pleasure. I look forward to coming back and seeing you guys soon. Take care.
All right, Dave. Adios, Dave. Yeah. Well, there you go. I love it, Dave. You're on the show. It's like it's like I just talked to him.
Maybe because you did.
Yeah, it is. It's great though. Anyway, thanks for. Oh, that's your line.
This is not Skull Rock podcast. This is my podcast.
I'm so sorry, honey.
You're co-hosting.
Go ahead.
Thanks so much for listening. We hope you've enjoyed today's show. If you haven't already, make sure you like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell.
Oh,
you have one job.
I have
Come
one job.
on.
I know. Sorry.
If you enjoy what we do, please consider supporting the show. You can do so by becoming a sponsor or supporter on Anchor, or you can shop our links. We've got Amazon, Disney Store, Kingdom Stroller, and Garden Grocer. Aljon, do you want to tell everyone where they can find Dining at Disney?
Well, of course. You can find Dining at Disney and on their social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You can find me, Aljon Go, on Instagram as well. And don't forget, you can check out our other podcasts like Skull Rock Podcast with me and Dave Bossert every single week, dropping you behind the scenes of some of your favorite Disney films and books and streaming, all that good news. And then also, Kat, our other co-host, she co-hosts Eat the Pictures, bite-sized podcast full of food and film that you need to check out as well. And don't forget, you can join our Facebook group, which is growing by leaps and bounds every day. Dining at Disney. You can check out our friends at Disney Dorks and the Sorcerer Radio Fun Zone. And also,
for all of your Disney, Universal, and Cravel. My gosh. Cruise travel. I guess it's cruise travel. Cravel.
You just making up
Great.
words.
Making up words. I'm having your problem of talking that you had last week.
Yeah, and I'm a professional.
Cruise travel. Whether it be river or the giant big ocean liners, you can contact me at themeparksandcruises@gmail.com. My services are free. Until next time, bon appetit.
Bye, Dave. We'll see you next time.
The information and opinions expressed in this podcast are for entertainment and informational purposes. All other trademarks mentioned are the property of their respective owners.